Hello everybody, Razorblade Mango here, and as always, we have the good times and the bad times throughout each year when it comes to video games. And last week, we looked at the good times. You know, we looked at the really fun and awesome Super Mario Odyssey. We looked at the beautiful and sleek and stylish Persona 5. We caught a glimpse of the scary, gory, funny Resident Evil 7. And of course, we topped it all off with my personal game of the year, What Remains of Edith Finch. A game that is so deeply personal and emotionally overwhelming for me that I really had no choice but to call it my game of the year. But now we have to look at the flip side of the coin. We have to look at the disappointments, the games that just didn't cut it for me and that left me with that very empty feeling in the pit of my stomach that I always get whenever I play something that just doesn't quite hit the mark that I was hoping for or falls significantly below expectations. So, like the best games of last year, I'm going to put 8 things on this list. So, let's get this shit over with. Here are the most disappointing games of 2017. The first game to have the dishonor of being on this list is Tequila Works' Rime. I'd been looking forward to this game since Gamescom 2014, good lord, ever since it was revealed to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive. And after a number of delays and even a publisher switch, I finally, in freaking May 2017, got to see what this game was finally like. And it turned out to be a mediocre, ho-hum, completely forgettable puzzle platformer. Now, don't get me wrong, Rime isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It has some pleasant imagery, a decent soundtrack, and the occasional cool bit to it. But the majority of the experience was so underwhelming. I mean, it hardcore apes the atmosphere and storytelling design of Team Ico's games. But unlike Team Ico's trilogy of PlayStation games, Rime just doesn't have the otherworldly awe and emotional depth of games like Shadow of the Colossus and The Last Guardian. It's just kind of a flat line during the whole thing. I felt nothing when it was all said and done. Even when the finale reached its, quote, emotional climax, unquote, I just kind of sat there and mentally shrugged to myself and thought, well, alright, whatever. Just did not have the impact that it was going for. I don't think indifference is what Tequila Works was aiming for when they made Rime. And to me, a forgettable game is almost worse than a bad game. A bad game I'll at least remember. I'll remember it, you know, with a passion of anger, but at least I'll remember it. I had a tough time even remembering things that happened in Rime in order to write the script for this entry. That's how forgettable Rime is to me. Oh, and the PC port of the game is still rather poorly optimized to this very day. Not much has changed from when I released that PSA about its shoddy frame rate back in May. Just what a shame for such a promising, cool-looking game. Now, I'm going to do something different for this next entry. Something new that I've never done before. And I'm going to put a developer / publisher among this list. Because Telltale Games sure as hell needs some tough love from me. To say Telltale has been coasting for years is putting it very mildly. They have become so lazy and scattershot with their writing and game design that it astonishes me how and why they keep releasing game after game after game after game. On the Telltale podcast I do every so often with my buddy Jordan, I've described multiple times how their new games have left me with a severe case of what I call Telltale fatigue. They have released so many underwritten and shallow experiences recently that I'm seriously just burned out on their stuff. I mean, hell, look at how many franchises they announced or released this year alone. You've got The Walking Dead: The New Frontier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Minecraft Story Mode Season 2, Batman: The Enemy Within, Walking Dead: The Final Season, The Wolf Among Us Part 2, and a freaking second season of Game of Thrones. And that doesn't even include that they keep teasing this new IP of theirs that I have no idea what will be and when we will see it. Just not even including the IP. That's 7 games in 1 year. That's insane. It's gotten so bad to the point where I haven't even bothered to play their recent stuff because I had such major buyer's remorse when I bought the season pass for the Guardians of the Galaxy game. I haven't even touched Minecraft Story Mode Season 2 or freaking Batman, my favorite superhero slash comic thing ever. I haven't even bothered to touch their new Batman game. That's how burned out on their stuff I am. Like, I've had the final 2 episodes of Guardians of the Galaxy, that whole series, like, sitting on my PS4 hard drive for months now, and I haven't been able to summon the will to bother playing them. Hell, Telltale's oversaturation has even affected their signature series, The Walking Dead. I mean, you know, the new season was still pretty good, but The New Frontier doesn't even come close to what the first 2 classic seasons were. Doesn't even come close to reaching the impact that those have. And to be perfectly honest, I'm really worried about the new season of The Wolf Among Us and the series finale for The Walking Dead. I'm still looking forward to them, cautiously, but I have to remind myself all the time that it's not that Telltale making those games. It's not the Telltale that made the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead and the first excellent season of The Wolf Among Us. Those are not the same people doing these 2 new seasons. It's this Telltale, this new Telltale. And I kind of don't want this new Telltale to make anything for a long time. So, what would be my advice to Telltale? Well, to be blunt, they need to go away. And I don't mean that in a mean, fuck off and die way. I don't mean that at all. I mean they need to take a very long break away from developing games and come back a few years later with new ideas and fresh sets of eyes. I criticize them so harshly because I care about their future. Telltale wouldn't be on this list if I didn't. Their older games mean so much to me, and for a long period of time, I saw them as a beacon of light for the re-emerging episodic adventure genre. Hell, they were the guys that kicked off this whole new wave of episodic content. Life is Strange and the new King's Quest wouldn't exist if it weren't for the success of Telltale Games. There was a period ever since 2013 where I bought every single game of theirs day one, no questions asked, no matter how fucking weird or bizarre they were. And nowadays, I just can't bring myself to do that. And the sad part is, I still feel like they can. They can be great, but not now, and certainly not at the pace they've been going. They need a long break away from developing games. They need to go away, they need to come back strong, or else I feel like their future is just going to take even more giant leaps toward being formulaic and banal, which is the last thing I want Telltale to be. The next game on this list is South Park, The Fractured Butthole. You know, it really shows the quality of a game to me if I don't even remember beating it literally a day after I beat it. I know I finished South Park The Fractured Butthole. I know I saw its ending, I think. And I just can't for the life of me remember what happened nor really care. And that sucks, because South Park The Stick of Truth was really good. Great even. It was one of my favorite games of 2014 when it came out. And I've been looking forward to The Fractured Butthole for a long time now, for a number of years. And for them to just completely miss the mark on this one was just disappointing, to say the very least. Made it even worse with the knowledge that I am a big South Park fan. I've been a big South Park fan ever since I was a kid. And to me, this whole game just felt like Trey Parker and Matt Stone were just drawing material from a drying well. They already used up the best material for The Stick of Truth. And to me, this whole concept of making fun of superhero movies and superhero cliches is nowhere near as interesting as a fantasy epic like Stick of Truth. That's just my personal opinion, but when the jokes in this just repeat so often to the point of being boring, and how often the jokes miss the mark here is just depressing. If I were to compare both games to the show, I'd say The Stick of Truth is like one of the really great seasons where most of the episodes are on point and really fucking funny. The Fractured Butthole is like one of the more middling seasons. It's like the most recent season that came out, where you'll get a couple of really good episodes every so often, but most of it is just so bland and wishy-washy, and it feels like they're just running around in the middle of the night in a forest with blindfolds on. It's like they don't know what they want to say, how they want to say it, and why they want to say it. It's just directionless padding. It genuinely feels like a cash grab, and I don't like saying that because I know Trey Parker and Matt Stone give a shit much more about this game than Ubisoft probably does, but this whole thing just stinks of the Ubisoft bloat. Unlike the really well written and entertaining missions and side quests in The Stick of Truth, you just have a lot of boring, bland collectathon stuff in The Fractured Butthole. And yeah, the combat is better, but then you get into situations that bring in these special win conditions that are just so infuriating and frustrating that I had to turn the difficulty down to easy just to get past them. I fucking hated some of the parts of this game, and I never felt that way about The Stick of Truth. No matter how, no matter what was thrown at me or what challenges I may have faced, I never got pissed in Stick of Truth. Fractured Butthole had parts that pissed me the fuck off, and this whole game just feels like a giant cash grab. It just feels like Ubisoft going, hey, Stick of Truth was popular, can you guys do that again? And some people just, seem to say, alright, this game is just more of the same. It's, it's South Park. And they just accept it. And that's fine if you just want more of the same. But in my opinion, I don't think this game is more of the same. If it was more of the same, I would have liked it more. But there's just something missing here that was there in The Stick of Truth. It just doesn't have that spark of creativity and inspiration like Stick of Truth has. Fractured Butthole, it's just plodding and dull and forgettable, and the jokes just completely miss the mark most of the time, and it's just a mess. It is just a middling, tired cash grab of a mess. And the fact that I didn't even remember beating it a day after beating it, that's not good. And especially for a South Park game, that's really shitty, dude. That fucking sucks. So, Ubisoft, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, please don't ever make another South Park game again. And I'm saying this as a die-hard, lifelong fan of the fucking franchise. Do not ever make a South Park game again. Please, I beg you, don't do it. The next game on this list is Destiny 2, made by the, oh my lord, the Bungie that just cannot resist fucking up. Oh my god, where do I even begin with this one? I like the game. I guess that's a weird way to start, but I like Destiny 2. I gotta be honest. I don't understand this nostalgia towards the original game. At least I didn't understand it until now, that people were having this, you know, oh, I wish it was like the original Destiny. I wish it was like vanilla Destiny. I don't. Like, vanilla Destiny 2 to me is so much better than vanilla Destiny 1. The way you earn loot in this game is a lot better. The story, while it's still not particularly great, it's still miles ahead better than the original. It's got more, like, interesting level design, and the missions are more fun, and it's got better art design, and it's just a better game overall, I think. Just the loot stuff is much more enticing and enjoyable. I think it's just a better game. Until it eventually reached the point where I just did not want to play it anymore. And to be honest, the stuff that really started to piss me off about this game started happening weeks after I stopped playing it, because there just came a point during my experience with Destiny 2 where I just went, right, I've had enough. I've had my fill. My $60, I still feel like it was well spent. I enjoyed it. So long, and thanks for all the fish. And I deleted it. Have not even had the desire to reinstall it since. And that was maybe the beginning of October. That was before all the shit started happening with numerous controversies popping up within Destiny 2. And even when I liked Destiny 2, there were things about it, definitely the fucking loot boxes, bright engrams that are in this game that frustrated me. They took the shader system, which was one of my favorite parts of Destiny, and completely fucked it up by making them bullshit one-time consumables. So fuck you, Bungie. I know what you're doing with that. And they completely ruined it by having you gamble for them and grind for them in these loot boxes, which effectively made the acquirement of cosmetic shaders completely unfun. Thanks a lot. That was bullshit. Then the real shit started happening once I'd finished playing the game, and I was just done. I was like, right, I've tried the shitty ass raid. No one really in my clan is really playing it all that much anymore, to the point where I want to play it. I'm done. I'm good. Then it started to come out that Bungie was intentionally hobbling the experience that you were getting from increased experience items, and lying to players about it, that they were getting more experience than they actually were. And Bungie was caught completely red-handed. And this happened around November, I believe. So for 2 months, Bungie had been lying to players about them hobbling the experience in the game, how much you were earning, and didn't bother to tell anyone until, of course, they got caught. And when they got caught, of course, they did what I like to call the Bungie cycle now, where they said, so step 1, Bungie fucks up. Step 2, Bungie releases something like, oh, we will look into this issue, stay tuned for more information on it. And then a couple of days later, they come out with some bullshit, oh, well, we're sorry, we looked at the data, we're like, oh, we don't like this either, and we're going to change it, we're going to do some rollbacks. Step 4, they fuck up again. So, and this process, the Bungie apology cycle, has been repeating for the last 2 to 3 months, and it's gotten so fucking old to the point where this had to be an inclusion on this list. Because Destiny 2 is fucking scummy. And that's not even getting into the shit that they pulled with locking vanilla player content out of, you know, the game for people that didn't buy the fucking ridiculous, underwhelming $20 Curse of Osiris DLC. And I played a little bit of it, and it's just so how that shit is $20 compared to something like Witcher 3's Blood and Wine. It just goes to show how up its own ass with greed Activision is, and how we've lost sight of what a truly great expansion can be. $20 for that shit. Give me a fucking break, Bungie. Also, that's not even going into the Dawning event, which the Dawning event just went balls deep in microtransactions. The Eververse has already been bad since vanilla Destiny 2 came out. Locking behind, you know, cosmetic stuff that people really enjoy, like sparrows and ghost shells and emotes. Now you have to fucking grind for them. You can't earn them via challenges or specific missions. You gotta gamble for them. So, like Overwatch, like fucking Call of Duty, like every other goddamn AAA fucking bullshit casino out there right now, Activision Blizzard just has to make you grind for cosmetic shit in Destiny 2. Oh, but it's just cosmetic. Shut the fuck up. I don't give a flying rat's fucking ass if it's just cosmetic. I don't give a shit if those ghost shells and emotes and all that other shit does not affect the core gameplay in terms of numbers. No, they do. They actually fucking do. Because they hobbled the experience for it. They took away the ability to earn bright engrams for Dawning event items, and you had to grind for that shit, or you cough up the money for them, which affects how fun the game is. And fourth, it is fucking impossible to get that shit outside of gambling for them. You can't. You have to go to Eververse. Destiny 2 has become so tied around Eververse that the community has rightfully backlashed against this fucking thing. And this is coming from me. This is coming from somebody that likes vanilla Destiny. I liked vanilla Destiny 2. I thought it was good. And fuck this. Fuck this greedy horseshit from Bungie and Activision Blizzard. Fuck off. I hope your fucking game crashes and burns, because from the moment this series came out, I have never understood the fandom behind this game. Never understood it. And now that I'm seeing this from Destiny 2, I'm seeing it get worse. I just have to stop and wonder, why are people still supporting this at this point? Like, I understand voting with your wallet. I understand if you don't give a shit about the cosmetic stuff. But come on. The way Bungie is just robbing players blind, just completely fucking up the flow and ebb of their game to encourage this overindulgent spending on bright engrams and loot boxes just to get these stupid fucking emotes. I'm sorry. That is crap. That is so such bullshit, so disheartening. I'm completely off script by now, but I don't give a fuck. Fuck you, Bungie. Fuck you, Activision Blizzard. I hope your game fucking crashes and burns, and I hope that goddamn fucking Eververse bullcrap blows up in your fucking stupid face. The next game is Red Barrel's Outlast II. One word really describes this game. Weak. 2 words. Super fucking weak. 3 words. Whatever. I'm a big fan of the original Outlast. It's one of my favorite horror games of all time. I love going back and playing that game by myself and with friends. It is a blast. And Outlast 2 is just a major fucking letdown. For all the pre-release hype of its, super intense gore and disturbing, grotesque sexual content and nudity, Outlast 2 just never really got under my skin or freaked me out like the original one did. and any images the game was able to put into my head were just gone by the end of the week. And I kept waiting for the game to finally win me over with a scene that would really fuck me up, but that sadly just never happened. I mean, quite the opposite. I thought a lot of its, quote, scary stuff and psycho-religious imagery was just really fucking silly. We've all seen this stuff before in loads of other horror movies and games, and it's been done so much better. This isn't a case like Resident Evil 7, where Resident Evil 7 was able to take a bunch of different inspiration from a bunch of different subgenres, from a bunch of different movies and video games, and turn it into something new and exciting. Outlast just feels like it's copying a bunch of stuff. Like, it's trying so hard to outdo Outlast, and you can't outdo Outlast. And even when it tries to do its own thing, it just sucks. And the one aspect that had the most promise was this all too brief element of psychological horror via these flashbacks of a traumatic event in the main character's childhood. Those to me felt like they came from a completely different and better game. I wish those flashbacks had been the bulk of Outlast 2. And not this fucking irritating and repetitive chase sequence, one right after another, that relies way too much on trial and error, frustrating trial and error. And don't even fucking get me started about the goddamn ending to this game. Like, don't even get me started. It's so bad, and it left me with just this "what the fuck are you guys doing" reaction when it ended. I couldn't fucking believe the credits rolled when they did. Like, just I still can't believe it. To this day, I still can't believe what they pulled with that stupid ending. It's just a fucking shame. Just everything Outlast 2 tries to be and say was already portrayed far more effectively in games like the very enjoyable Resident Evil 7 and the original Outlast and PT, and I've seen movies do this psychological horror religious stuff better. Things like The Sacrament, which is a great movie. If The Sacrament is still available on Netflix, go watch that. That movie is everything that Outlast 2 should have been. It's intelligent and disturbing and fucked up and terrifying. Outlast 2 is just, like I said earlier, super fucking weak. Weak as fucking dirt. Right, next up is the really unbelievably silly Life is Strange Before the Storm. Among my circle of friends and I guess even Twitter regulars and stuff like that, I am someone that likes the original Don't Nod Life is Strange a lot more than I think others do. Whenever I bring it up, people just kind of go, "Oh god, I couldn't even get past the first episode on that," or it just is this bullshit hipster wannabe nonsense, and I like it. I should hate it, but I like the original Life is Strange. I think it was even listed on Cream of the Crop 2015 when it came out. I dug the hell out of Life is Strange. No, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a solid, beautiful little game, and I liked its concept combined with its really appealing autumn schoolyard atmosphere to it. It just really hooked me, and to this very day I still struggle to come up with the exact words as to why. Well, to see it done badly just makes me appreciate the original Life is Strange all the more. And whoo boy, is Before the Storm a bad sequel, or sorry, prequel to the original Life is Strange. I can't believe people looked at this and went, yes, this is superior to the original Life is Strange in every way, shape, and form. There are literal reviews out there that say that. And for me, watching the utter nonsense that occurs in this game, and just staring at my computer screen with my mouth agape in pure shock as to how stupid it is. It felt like walking a mile in another man's shoes. Like, I get it. If this is what people saw in the original Life is Strange, I get it. I completely understand now why people hate that game's guts. Because Before the Storm is pretty much Life is Strange without any of the innocent charm or rich atmosphere that Don't Nod brought to it. It's just a bad CW soap opera. And they couldn't even be bothered. This fucking game is such a cash grab from Square Enix. They couldn't even be bothered to bring in the original team behind it. They couldn't even be bothered to get Ashley Birch to play Chloe again. And it came out in 3 episodes. They didn't even want to take the time to do 5. They had to do 3. Let's rush it out with 3. And oh my lord, is it stupid. There are so many moments in this game that had me laughing out loud with how unbelievably bad it was. Characters would do and say things that I just looked at and laughed and thought to myself, what is this game doing? It features so many moments that will just make you scratch your head and look at it from the perspective of what I assume both from a newcomer and from a veteran of Life is Strange, and just think, what in God's name was this team thinking when they wrote this? And the big pull of this game, you know, to see Chloe, how the origins of Chloe and Rachel's friendship, there's nothing there, because 1, the characters are just badly written. 2, there really is not much of like they can do with Chloe not having the time travel power, so all they have her do is this new feature called Backtalk, and it's shit. And they also have her in this game a lot, I mean, with Rachel, to the point where you stop caring, because this relationship that they form just does not progress naturally. It just progresses over the span of like 3 days. And what happens with these characters is just so unbelievably silly. Like I have to go off script here. This is just, there's a moment, and I'm going to get into spoiler territory. There's a moment in the finale, right, that just completely lost me, where I just went, you know what? Fuck this. Because I stuck with it. The first episode was poor, was boring, stupid, lame. Second episode had 1 or 2 good bits in it, and it ends with an interesting cliffhanger, even though it has a bunch of other dumb bullshit in it. And then you get to the 3rd episode, and the 3rd episode begins with 2 of the best scenes in not only just this prequel series, but in the entire Life is Strange franchise. They're great. And then you get into one of the dumbest, most stupidest things I've ever seen in a game, where apparently Chloe has a stalker. Chloe has a mentally unstable guy that likes her at Blackwell Academy, that follows her when she breaks into Rachel's father's office in order to get some incriminating evidence against the shitty ass villain in this game. And this is the only time in the game where, because keep in mind, Chloe does not have time travel powers. Chloe doesn't have shit that Max Caulfield does in the original Life is Strange. Chloe just has backtalk. And all you do with backtalk is just try to convince people that you're that much of a bitch that a certain outcome will happen or something. So you're getting money, you're getting incriminating evidence from Rachel's father's office. In walks the mentally unstable kid. The mentally unstable kid starts droning on and on and on about how, oh, well, you know, Rachel is just using you. Rachel is a terrible influence. I've been there since the beginning. I'm attracted to you, Chloe. Blah, 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 blah. And it just comes out of nowhere. And it does not do a good job of explaining that this kid is mentally unstable. I don't even know why this kid is here. If this kid had been completely removed from Life is Strange Before the Storm, nothing would change. All this kid represents is just filler. Shitty, stupid, mind-numbingly dumb filler. The central conflict of this episode, the point where it completely lost me, is you on the phone with the police trying to make them aware of your whereabouts while not alerting the mentally unstable kid that you don't want to sleep with. It's insane. It flies off the fucking rails at that point, and it just crashes into a territory that I find I was just like, oh, fuck this. I just completely tuned out. I was done. I'd been through 2.5 episodes of this fucking shit. I was done. Right? I was like, done. Mentally checked out. Done. Fuck Life is Strange Before the Storm. I don't want Deck 9 going near this franchise ever again, and fuck Square Enix for having the utter gall to take an easy cash grab off of one of their most interesting, promising new IPs. Fuck them. Before the Storm is a piece of shit. The next one. Please, God, we're almost done. How many do I have left? Oh, thank God, just one more after this. The next is Yooka-Laylee, the most obvious inclusion on this list. Why? Why? This had everything going for it. Why did this turn out to be bad? This had the original Rare alumni behind it, breaking away from Microsoft, breaking away from the stupid Kinect Sports games, breaking away from the bomb that's going to be Sea of Thieves, planting them right back into the genre that they helped create, backed by the fans, had a massive Kickstarter success, had a promising demo to it. Why? Why did this one have to turn out to be a disappointment? Oh, God. It's just... it's another one of these games that just has the fucking Kickstarter sheen to it, where it's just yet another experience that is so obsessed with evoking nostalgia that it just fails to incorporate any improvements made to gameplay, structure, level design throughout the last fucking 2 decades. Okay? It's just... it sucks. I spent the entire time wandering through these dull, boring, bloated levels, doing frustratingly bad challenges for annoying characters, just so you can collect items that will have you repeating this process over and over and over and over again. Oh my lord. Right. There is a section in this game where they take the witch quiz questions that were at the end of the first Banjo-Kazooie, and they make them a mandatory challenge. Like, I shit you not, if you get a question wrong too many times, drops you back to the beginning. Hey, sucker, you gotta answer 6 questions all over again. Go fuck yourself. Right, not thematically appropriate. Look at Persona 5. Persona 5 has you answer quiz questions because the theme is you're a fucking high schooler in a classroom. What does mandatory quiz questions have to do with Yooka-Laylee? Other than making fun of, oh, we couldn't afford a boss battle here. Even though you had 5 shit boss battles in all the other 5 shit worlds that you designed. Oh, and my lord, are the bosses some of the worst I've ever seen in this game. Once I was done with like the last 2. I beat the 2 bosses that were on the first 2 worlds, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care how many fucking pages or quills I have to collect, I'm not doing this shit anymore. Go fuck yourself, Yooka-Laylee, I'm not doing that shit anymore. And the levels, all of them, boring, badly designed, have way too much empty space to them, not memorable in the slightest. Even the most tolerable level, the first one, that jungle level with the cool ass music, that gets old so fast. And the way you have to collect pages are through these awful challenges that include such classic, wonderful ideas as arcade cabinets with bad controls, shitty boss battles, fucking timed race challenges that are so awful and so finicky to control that you'll want to throw your fucking controller across the room and then smash your fucking monitor into the ground. Look, let's be honest here, right? Let's take off the nostalgia goggles for just a sec, guys. Let's be honest. Elements of Banjo-Kazooie have aged really poorly since 1998. Right? Can we agree that the underwater levels in that game are shit and some of the controls don't work very well in this day and age? Almost 10 years later. Sorry, almost 20 years later. But that game, that Banjo-Kazooie game made in 1998 is leagues better than Yooka-Laylee. It has a lot more charm, it's tightly focused, has genuinely likable characters, and most of the challenges are still fun to do. And aside from those fucking underwater levels, I never felt bored during Banjo-Kazooie. And that's Yooka-Laylee's biggest sin. It is monumentally fucking boring. And when I finally slogged through this fucking game just to see what each of the 5 overly large worlds had to offer, I was done. My breaking point was this god-awful fucking golf minigame in the 5th level that is just so unbelievably terrible. I can't fathom a human being that looked at that and went, yes, that is fun. Let's put that in our game. The person that said that gave that okay, should never make video games ever again. And I had no desire to put up with this game's outdated bullshit for a fucking second longer. I hope Playtonic bounces back from this. I really do. Playtonic still has the potential to make decent games, but not like this. Not like Yooka-Laylee, and especially not after this shit. Not, please, for the love of God, don't make a Yuka 2 or Tooka-Laylee or whatever the fuck cutesy name you're gonna bring to it. I can't fathom how people are able to slap on their Twitter feeds how they beat this game 100%. I don't get it. I don't get how anyone can have the tolerance for this shit. They must be fucking masochists. Please, let me know if you are a masochist playing Yooka-Laylee. You need help. You need better platformers than this. You need, especially after Super Mario Odyssey, Yooka-Laylee looks like a green and purple pile of chameleon shit. And finally, before this game came out, Yooka-Laylee was going to be the slam dunk #1. It's going to be the top pick for the most disappointing game of 2017. But, as you all know, there was no way this was going to not be #1. Star Wars Battlefront 2 Electronic Arts. Ha 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 ha. A disaster in every fucking sense of the word. This is a game that I still can't believe exists. In all my years of seeing games, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is perhaps the most overtly disgusting, cynical, nakedly, unashamedly greedy display of publisher assholery that I have ever seen in my years of playing and looking at video games. What EA pulled with Star Wars Battlefront 2 is something I don't think we will ever see again, and I don't think the backlash is something we will ever see again. I thought wouldn't be for a long time that we would see the game finally overstep its bounds and just piss off enough people to the point where government officials would get involved. Talk of regulation would start to happen for these fucking atrocious loot boxes. But it happened way sooner than I expected. And it couldn't have happened, aside from Activision, it couldn't have happened to a more deserving company. Because fuck Electronic Arts. The fucking line-crossing liberties that they took with Star Wars Battlefront is so crappy and just so mean-spirited and nasty and ugly that I was ecstatic at every fucking news thing that came out that talked shit about Battlefront 2, that showed how much of a major blowback this fucking thing was having in EA's face. I have never actively rooted for the failure of a game, the failure of a company in my entire life. I hope this game is the final straw between Disney and EA, but it won't be. Disney may have been seen as the good guy in this situation, but if they really gave a fuck about the future of Star Wars games, they wouldn't have given it to EA in the first place. And they won't. This will just be water under the bridge by the time that visceral Star Wars game comes out. Oh, I'm sorry. They canceled that one to make room for more games as a service Battlefront games. And for all the people that are like, oh, games as a service, that's not a bad thing. You want to know what the future of Star Wars games was going to be under EA's tutelage? This. The original version of Star Wars Battlefront. Before they started course correcting. Before they started cutting the hero earnage rate by 75%. Before they started increasing the cap of how often you can get tokens in fucking single player. It's fucking outrageous. I don't give a fuck how many times they updated this game, are going back and saying, oh, we'll change it, we'll change stuff. EA showed us its hand, and its hand is disgusting. And what it thinks of the future of Star Wars games is fucking apocalyptic, to say the very least. What we were seeing with Star Wars Battlefront was the next evolution in microtransaction loot box chicanery. And thank God they did not get away with that. People have been complaining that recently that, oh, just let it go. Stop complaining about Star Wars Battlefront 2. They took the microtransactions out. You guys can't complain anymore. Right. Fuck off. Shut up. I absolutely can and will wholeheartedly, lovingly complain about what EA tried to pull with Battlefront 2. Because what they tried to pull with Battlefront 2 was unbelievably shitty. And you know who the real people, the real heroes in this situation are? The people on Reddit who fought back against this. And people will look back on this maybe and say, you know, oh, well, that didn't really do much. Like, the storm has kind of calmed down. Well, I think this situation with Battlefront 2 is going to be the pebble that starts the avalanche of the downfall, the explosion of the little shitty fragile bubble that the AAA gaming industry has made for itself. They're making their entire business off these unregulated loot box microtransaction things. It affects game after game after game. Actually, no, affects is a bad word. Infects is a better word. Infects game after game after game after game. And I think so many of us are just sick of that. Sick and tired of it. You can only kick the dog so many times before it finally just turns around and bites you in the ass. And this was it. This was the equivalency of the fucking fangs coming out and the master being bitten right on the butt cheek. And I laugh. I think it's hilarious that EA has lost stock value. I think it's hilarious that investors have had to tone down their expectations for how many copies Battlefront 2 is going to sell. I love it. I love it. I feed on this negativity. I feed on the misery, the fear of EA, and that they're not going to get enough money. Oh, we're not going to get enough money for Star Wars. Oh, no! Oh, but wait! EA said that those microtransactions don't affect their earnings? Did I read that correctly? Yeah, I did read that correctly. That EA said it wouldn't have any kind of material impact on the earnings that they would get from Battlefront 2. Right, so why are the microtransactions there? Oh, that's right, player choice, yes. Now I remember, player choice is the one. Well, Motherfucker, I didn't choose for this loot box shit to be the progression system in this game. I didn't choose to have Darth Vader cost 40,000 fucking credits to unlock. I didn't choose to have constant nagging microtransactions tied into my Star Wars game. I didn't ask for any of that. Where's that player choice? Anyway, if you want to hear the whole story about this Star Wars Battlefront thing, I fucking put up a near hour long, like 2 hours worth of material. Go watch those. Go watch my breakdown of the loot boxes from the god-awful beta. Go watch my 55-minute epic where I tear into EA and the stupid shit they did with Battlefront 2. Go watch as I make fun of their hilariously dumb, reaction to, oh, well, we couldn't do cosmetics in Battlefront because it's unfit the canon. Ew, no, the canon. Right. I remember in Attack of the Clones when Yoda fought Boba Fett on Kamino. I remember when Kylo Ren fought Darth Maul on Endor. I remember that in Return of the Jedi. That was like my favorite part. It was great. So anyway, to keep a long story short, to sum it all up, Star Wars Battlefront 2, easily the most disappointing, shittiest game, and I find it hilarious that this game was a fucking apology for the original Battlefront. Do you remember that? Do you remember when they structured their entire E3 presentation of Battlefront 2 around, oh, we listen to the fans, we listen to the feedback? Well, they're gonna have to bring out the voice actors for Iden again in that Empire dress again to talk about how now we're gonna make Battlefront 3 as an apology for Battlefront 2. That was an apology for Battlefront. Fuck you, EA. Go fuck yourself with a big lightsaber dildo. I hope this is the last dumb move that just snaps, that breaks Disney's back and just takes the Star Wars license away from EA. Don't give it to Activision. Give it to someone else, please. Give it to Sony. Give it to Bethesda. Give it to somebody. Don't give it to EA. EA does not deserve Star Wars. So EA, just fuck you. Go away. You are old. You are so decrepit. You make people unhappy. Go away. You make people unhappy. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know what your most disappointing games of 2017 are. And as always, I am Razorblade Mango. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you guys later. Bye! Fuck you, EA fucking assholes.